Welcome back to Project 613. Today we are going to talk about the Jewish leap year. Why is it that when you open up a calendar, a Jewish calendar, some years you find that there are 12 months, and other years you find that there are 13 months? The answer to this is because in the Jewish leap year, it gets an additional month. We have the extra month of Adar that is added. But this itself needs to be understood. Why? Why do we have an extra month of Adar every so often? What's the reason for it? So we've been learning the mitzvah that's given to the Beis Din to establish the Jewish calendar and to calculate the months and the years. And this issue of the Jewish leap year is very much part of this mitzvah as well. And it was the job of Beis Din at the time that the Beis Din would set the calendar. And it goes like this. As we've been learning, the Jewish months are determined by the lunar system. The cycle of the moon takes 29 and a half days. So every month is 29 and a half days. And if we were to make a year based on 12 lunar months, we would end up 12 times 29 and a half equals 354, and we would have a year of 354 days. Now, if we were just to continue going on this cycle, that when we reach the 12th month, then we would call it a year, and then we would continue again counting another 12 months, essentially there would be no problem with that. And in fact, the Muslim calendar, which also follows lunar months, does exactly that. And its months just continue to go in a cycle of 29 and a half days, and they have 12 months a year, and after 12 months they start again. But on the Jewish calendar, this wouldn't be possible. Why? Because the Torah, in addition to telling us that our months should follow the lunar cycle, the Torah also tells us that our festivals need to be celebrated in specific seasons. The Torah tells us that Pesach needs to be celebrated in the springtime, and Sukkot needs to be celebrated in the autumn. Now, the seasons are determined not by the moon, but by the solar system, by the sun. And the solar cycle takes 365 days. So that means that if we were to go by the lunar system every year, we would fall short 11 days, the difference between 354 and 365 days. And in fact, what would end up happening is that Pesach every year would end up being 11 days earlier. And after a few years, Pesach would end up falling in the middle of the winter. And Sukkot would end up falling in the middle of the summer. And going back to the Muslim calendar, in fact, this is why Ramadan every year is at a different time of the year, a different season, because they go only with the lunar system, and therefore it keeps moving back 11 days every single year. But because the Torah tells us that our holidays need to be in specific seasons, we need to do something about that. So what do? Every 2 to 3 years, we make a leap year and we add an additional month. And by doing so, we adjust the two systems. And like this, we catch up and we are able to be in sync. And even though we continue to follow lunar months, nevertheless, our months will always be in the correct season, where the month of Nisan, where Pesach falls out, will always be in the spring, and the month of Tishrei, where Sukkot falls, will always be in the autumn. Now, this job of adding a leap year and determining which year should be considered the leap year was part of the calculations that Beis Din had to determine based on knowing the specific cycles to understand when we would be falling behind. And in such years, they would add a 13th month and call it to be a leap year. Of course, today, where we have a set calendar, there is a set cycle of in every 19 years, we have specific 7 of the 19 years will always be leap years. And in this way, the solar cycle and the lunar cycle, in terms of the Jewish calendar, will always be not too far off. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.